They're here.
So yeah, at first, I just didn't know what to do.
At first, Daddy was confused.
I didn't know it was going to affect people in Nassau and Freeport.
And then I told him it was just the first three numbers.
Our new phone numbers have arrived, but there is no need to be afraid. Only the first three numbers have changed. The new numbers are in effect now.
Coming up tonight on NB12, we've got the report on government spending over some of the last months of the Ingram administration. The findings may shock you. We hear a lot about New Providence shantytowns, but tonight we take you inside a major Abaco shantytown. Di Stubbs back in court today, plus get ready for a little jailhouse rock. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12. For joining us here at Cable 12 Studios, here are the stories coming out of the NB12 newsroom. The Auditor General made waves back in 2011 when a report revealed widespread misuse of government funds in local government offices on several family islands. Well, the latest report, tabled in the House of Assembly today, shows that government funds were still being wasted on everything from phone cards to government properties, which several different entities are being paid to clean. Vonnie Toot takes a look.
Despite current financial constraints, the latest Auditor General report has revealed that government continues to not just lose, but waste money, all because public officers are not being held accountable for their actions. The lack of public accountability was a major concern in the 2011 report, tabled in the House of Assembly on Wednesday. The 183-page document suggested a lack of transparency in Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health contracts. It turns out the Department of Environmental Health Services dished out thousands of dollars for the maintenance of school grounds, even though the Ministry of Education has workers on staff to perform those duties. The Auditor General's office even demanded that the money be recovered. For instance, a payment voucher of nearly $10,000 was issued to a contractor for clearing a primary school yard, basketball court and soccer field, volleyball court, community clinic, and a road from the entrance of Gambier. According to the Auditor General, it is recommended that justification be provided to show why it was necessary to hire a contractor to carry out the same functions being performed by monthly paid employees. In the absence of a credible explanation, we recommend the $9,500 be recovered. Then there's a full-time government employee who was reportedly paid to clean up Yamacraw. This contract was deemed a conflict of interest, as contracts should not be granted to government workers. The Auditor General suggested that the money paid to the person who has worked for the Bahamas government from 1988 be recovered. The Auditor General also took issue with nearly $10,000 worth of cellular phone cards issued monthly to managers and staff members at DEHS between October 2009 and November 2011. Officials questioned the need to spend such an exorbitant amount of money on phone cards when some of those staffers worked from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and had access to land phone lines. Additionally, investigations revealed that calls were made to private numbers. The Auditor General suggested that those staffers responsible for making calls of an unofficial nature pay the government back. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonnie Toot.
Another roundup of undocumented Haitian nationals who lived in the Abaco shanty towns of the Mud and Pigeon P has left some residents in those communities fuming. Arcandia Dames visited the Mud after a recent roundup and provides some insight in this report.
After that raid, NB12 decided to revisit the Mud to speak with residents here to understand what life is like here and to explore those tensions that continue to exist between Haitians and Bahamians.
This is the view from the back window of a Marsh Harbor home purchased just days ago by a Bahamian. Just across the fence of the backyard are these tightly packed shacks in unsanitary surroundings. The Bahamian was too afraid to go on camera to discuss frustrations over the shantytown problem, but hopes one day the government will do something to get rid of the mud and pigeon pea shantytowns, home to hundreds of residents. Director of Immigration William Pratt told us today that roundups are constant. Over in the mud, little children played in the dirt. Adults sat under trees or immediately outside their homes, discussing the most recent roundup, many of them refusing to show their faces on camera. Local Haitian evangelist Ronnie Francois highlighted some concerns residents have about the raids.
Our concern really for the last week, basically when the immigration catch the mother of the children and they go to the school and carry the children as well because the mother say the children got to be with them. So I would ask, we understand the Bahamas been supporting the Haitian community for the longest, but all we say is if the law could just make it a little bit, easier for the children. Again, the children is very important. It's really bad when they go to school and carry them with uniform. That's really, really, really bad. And we wonder if they could do something about it.
What do you think should happen to the children? Are you saying send the parents back and leave the children in the Bahamas?
But basically that would have to do with the Haitian government and the Bahamian government to see how they could do it. Because the law says automatically the mother is illegal. They have to go. But if the children in school here, so they would have to find a way, to do something with it.
The Prime Minister has said he intends to appoint a citizenship commission to look into issues regarding citizenship. The Bahamas Constitution, of course, does not guarantee citizenship to people born in the Bahamas, but they are able to apply when they reach 18. Eli Petafay is 40 years old. He grew up in the mud and discussed with us the plight of people who are stateless.
Some of the guys, I think, are upset because they feel like they're without a country. You're born somewhere and they don't even recognize you. You got to wait till you're 18, and you have to go through another 10 to 15 years of waiting. I had a brother who waited almost 10 years to get his passport, and that ain't right. I know it's written in the Constitution, but the issue is speed the process up. So some of us feel like we don't belong. No matter where you go, they still look at you as a Haitian. And the reasons being some of them don't have enough passports. They can't travel.
Rosie Edmond is also 40. She too was born and raised in the mud and still lives there with her children.
I had to go through applying for citizenship of the Bahamas, and I born here from 1973 in November, but I had to apply for citizenship of the Bahamas, and then I got approved and stuff like that. But then when I had my kids, I had to do the same thing for my kids. Now, you see, all that is not fair. What I did, I could understand the law with me, because I was from my Haitian mom. But when I had my kids, I was born in the Bahamas. Why my kids had to go through the same procedure what I've been through? And we're born in the Bahamas. And they say rights for all. We are a human, and rights for all. I wonder where the rights for the Haitians. We still human beings.
Jermaine Dumercy says he is a permanent resident of the Bahamas. He said many residents live in the mud because they are either unemployed like him or simply do not make enough money to live any better.
Some of them ain't getting a job. They ain't paying much bills around. They ain't getting no bills around there. They ain't getting a job to pay them apartments. They say anyway, if I stay here, that could be much better for me, and they stay here too. Yeah, everybody living around there, not only Haitian around there. But so much times the Bahamian get locked up just like Haitian around there because they catch them in an Haitian community.
Officials say that given the fact that these communities have developed over decades, the solution will likely be quite complex. Reporting from the mud in Abaco, I'm Candia Dames for NB12.
Now, the immigration director said children are not taken out of schools after their undocumented parents are apprehended. He said their parents are taken to collect them once school gets out. Pratt said that some children of undocumented migrants get left in the Bahamas when their parents are deported because the parents sometimes do not tell immigration authorities that they have children. Pratt said this then creates a problem for the Department of Social Services. He said about 13 undocumented Haitians were picked up in that recent roundup. Well, murder convict Stephen Dye Subs and his 2 convicted accomplices will have to wait one more day to learn their fate. The sentencing hearing into their trial for the murder of Corporal Jimmy Ambrose in 1999 started today, but won't wrap up until the court decides on whether it will keep the death penalty on the table. Paige McCartney sat in on proceedings this morning and filed this report.
The attorneys who represent the trio spent the majority of the morning arguing against the prosecution's bid to have the death penalty considered for sentencing. Stubbs, along with Andrew Davis and Clinton Evans, are represented by attorney Muriel Ducille, Ian Cargill, and Ramona Farquharson Seymour, respectively. They argued that they were not given written notification on the day of conviction that their clients would be facing the death penalty, as is customary, and that they were only given notification documents this morning. However, Director of Public Prosecutions Vinette Graham-Allen said there was no statutory provision that required that the prosecution disclose its position on sentencing within a specific period. Graham-Allen said the statute overrode the practice direction that set out the procedure for sentencing in murder cases. A 2011 amendment to the Penal Code made the murder of a policeman a death-eligible crime. The convicts were first sentenced to death in 2002. However, the conviction and sentence were overturned on appeal in 2004. The court ordered a retrial, and after a series of mistrials, the men were convicted this year. At the time of their initial conviction, all murders were given the mandatory death penalty, but the Privy Council deemed this practice unconstitutional in 2006. The Privy Council later said the death penalty should be reserved for murders that were the rarest of the rare and the worst of the worst, and where there was no prospect of reform for the offender. However, Graham-Allen said that the law shows that the killing of any member of the disciplinary forces, that's the Royal Bahamas Defense Force or police force, is considered the worst of the worst. The penalty for the murder of an officer of the disciplinary forces in the execution of his or her duties is death or life in prison. But Ducille said the mere fact that the victim was a police officer does not automatically mean the convicts would face the death penalty. Cargill said the Crown is trying to ambush the men with the death penalty, while Farquharson Seymour said the Crown is playing with the lives of men who were not told that their lives were at stake. Graham-Allen, however, maintained that because a psychiatric evaluation was ordered at the time of conviction, which is a standard procedure when the death penalty is being considered, it should have been known that prosecution was going in that direction. Justice Roy Jones will make his decision on whether the death penalty will remain on the table tomorrow when court reconvenes at 11. For NB12, I'm Paige McCartney.
A woman who prosecutors say arranged her husband's murder could face a new trial if the Crown successfully convinces the appellate court that a judge was wrong when he directed her acquittal. Prosecutors last week filed papers challenging the directed acquittals of Renee Sherman and Cordero Bethel in relation to the death of banker Stephen Sherman, who was gunned down outside his home in Yamacraw Shores on February 17, 2012. Sherman was accused of conspiracy to commit murder and abetment to murder. Bethel, who prosecutors say drove the getaway car, was acquitted of conspiracy to commit murder, and armed robbery. A 2011 amendment to the Criminal Procedure Code gives the Crown the right to challenge acquittals on the direction of a judge on a no-case-to-answer submission.